Happy New Year, everyone. Mitra and I thought it would be appropriate for us to talk about introducing newness into our life. I think a lot of us, as we come into the new year, we reflect on what is it that we want to accomplish new in our lives? What is new that we want to bring into our lives? What do we want to let go of? And I know in my experience that I haven't always been able to succeed at bringing in the newness that I intended to bring in my life. And I imagine we all experience that to some degree. So, Mitra, we were talking just before this, and you have some great wisdom on the key to bringing in newness into our life that lasts. What would you say, Mitra, is the one thing that people can understand that will help them to bring lasting newness that nourishes them into their life?
First of all, Happy New Year. Really happy to be here with fresh energy and hopefully fresh ideas and fresh offerings. And to answer your question, Ben, I'm not sure if everybody wants to be renewed and be new and fresh because we say that. And then when it's not really happening, I start questioning it. Was there real clarity and decision to be new? Because new also means letting go of the old, and letting go is very challenging for human beings. And we are very interesting beings. We want something and we say we want it, but then it looks like we almost do everything against that thing that we want. So
I experienced that.
I
Yeah.
know I have. And so my question is this: don't go and say yes, 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 because it's New Year and because your gym is sending you an ad saying, oh, new you, new body, new this. Really contemplate on that. Am I ready? So clarifying, that's the answer. Clarifying, am I really ready? Do I really want to get into a place? And new means different things to different people. New in the sense of material and physical world, in sense of mental and beliefs, in the sense of energetic and soul, and it could be all of them. But am I truly clear that this is what I want? I want a new fill in the blank. So clarifying to me is the most important step in getting into a place that is fresh and it's new.
And what I'm hearing, Mitra, is am I willing to let go of certain things to allow the newness in? Because I got to create space for newness. If I have a house full of furniture and I want new furniture, I got to get rid of my old furniture to bring in the new furniture.
Exactly. So it's a death
And
of something and the birth of something.
yes, and I think where we get challenged is the willingness to let go of the things we need to let go of in order for the newness to enter. And I know I've struggled with this. I've struggled with this in various departments of my life. For example, romantic relationships. There was, some part of me is saying, I want to bring a partner into my life. I really want that. And I tell myself I'm ready for that. But there's other parts of me that are unwilling to let go of certain things, certain identifications that I have, certain um, ways of being that help me feel quote unquote safe, that would could be compromised in a relationship. So I can definitely relate to that and that inner conflict that arises between what I want and the thing that I'm unwilling to let go of.
Exactly.
There's recognizing that. And before we started recording, you were talking about this concept of zooming out and zooming in and the theater of life. What is the theater of life to you?
To me, the theater of life is the play that I've created in order to expand and experience and express myself. I mean, literally, that's the visual of it. Just think about, I believe I've come here to experience, to express myself and to expand. All of that is happening in a theater I call my life. I'm experiencing many things, many people. I am expressing, I'm telling, I'm saying, I'm communicating. And also through that, I'm expanding. And when one of these areas stop functioning. Let's say that I am not experiencing. I'm holding back from experiences. Interesting. You talked about a relationship. I really want to learn. I really want to be a couple. I really want to love. I really want to connect. But I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be rejected. I
Mhm.
don't want
Yeah.
difficult things. People say, I don't want the
Yeah.
difficult
Yeah,
things
yeah.
in life. It's
That's
like, sorry,
yeah.
wrong place. Earth is not it. So it's like, how can I do that? Just think about every relationship we have that is meaningful to us, from our parents to our lovers, to our children, to our friends, to our colleagues. These are the things that are creating experiences for us. Every single one of them bring a different kind of challenge to us. So that's the first thing what I mean by the theater of life. But now the question is, where am I in relationship to this theater that is taking place that I call my life? Am I part of it? Am I participating in it? Because some people are not participating fully in the theater of their life. Or am I the spectator of the theater? And there is no right or wrong answer, but that these are the questions that allow us to really understand our relationship with our life. Where am I in relationship to the theater I call my life?
How do you zoom out? Like, help us really get to that place where we recognize this is a theater. Because if I'm in the thick of something, if I'm dealing with some emotions, I might be angry, I might be sad, I have a conflict that I'm working through with someone. How does that look and feel to go from that place to zooming out and recognizing that this is somehow a theater? Help us walk through that process.
In the 70s, I had an opportunity to live with a community, that original community of in North America. And a chief became my sort of mentor. And what was happening, I was very young. I was just basically shadowing this chief and learning how he communicates with the tribe, how he solves problems. Anyway, one day I woke up and chief was all packed up to go. And I said, where are you going? I was so disappointed. What happened to my mentor? He said, I'm going to the higher grounds. And before I had an opportunity to ask any questions, he left. And here I was, like, completely bamboozled. What was going on? So I went and I asked a woman who looked like she has patience for me. I said, what's going on? Where did the chief go? She said, the higher grounds. I said, where is the higher grounds? And where it was, basically, after the chief came back and everybody explained to me that when there was a challenge that was hard to solve, the chief would take a leave and go separate from the tribe and from basically the problem, and symbolically and literally sit on the top of a mountain, so higher grounds, which is a very interesting and fascinating experience. What
Mm,
happens there, first of all, you're far away from the problem or problems, and you have an overview, you have a higher ground view of the problem. You see the full picture. You don't just see that problem. And
mm.
that allows you to look at it. To me, that stayed with me. I was very, very young. I think I was 18 or 19 when that happened. But that showed me that there is a bigger picture that I don't need to pack up and go to mountains, but that higher grounds view is available to me. And this is not science, but I can tell you, to me, the small picture allows me to identify the problem. So when I jump, going back to the theater analogy. When I jump on stage and become involved in the theater of my life, I identify the problem. I see, oh God, my friend Ben and I have a lot of conflict. When we get together, it's difficult, it's challenging. We don't seem to enjoy our time together. So I identify the problem. And then when I jump back as an observer into my higher grounds, then I see the full picture. I'm not just focusing on one role. I see your role. I see the bigger picture. I see other people in relationship with us and, other people. And that allows me to hopefully see a solution or at least just a bigger picture of what's going on. So zoom in to identify the problem, zoom out to see the potential for solutions and anything that needs to be resolved and dissolved.
I really like the analogy of going on a mountain. I've tried different things of seeing a higher perspective. Some people say imagine you're a fly on the wall. Some people say literally imagine yourself going up into space and looking down. But there's something about imagining myself going up on a mountain and sitting on a mountain. It just feels more accessible, more tangible for me that really resonates. So I'm excited to try that. And I'm also thinking about, okay, this is making sense. I'm starting to connect some dots because in order for me to recognize what are the things that I need to let go of in order to introduce newness, I need to zoom out. I need to pause and I need to zoom out to see the bigger picture and to ask myself, okay, I do, I'm saying I want a partner in my life. And what is it that I'm will need to let go of in order to allow that to happen? From that zoomed out perspective, also asking, what am I getting from holding on to that thing? And what will I gain by letting it go? Or what will I lose by letting it go? Seeing it from a higher perspective and then coming back down and and making a choice,
Yes.
making a clear choice. Not a reactive choice, not a just like, okay, I recognize I'm scared of being hurt. I'm just going to let that go. But really taking the time to see that fear of getting hurt from a higher perspective and and making some decisions from there.
Often, especially when it comes to relationships, when we are afraid to tackle it and look at it and make it healthier, is because we're afraid to lose it. And in my experience, both personal and professional, no relationship is worthy if it cannot withstand risking. Any relationship that is worth of keeping is worth and qualifies for risking it and bringing up and looking at it, meaning zooming out and seeing, maybe this is not the healthiest way that we communicate. Maybe it's not the healthiest way that we relate to each other. And that risk of losing, so called losing, I think is a fib that our mind has told us. And he said, no, you can't risk that. If Ben stops talking to you, you know what will happen. And I'm thinking, we're not really communicating this way anyways. If it's unhealthy and I'm fearful and you're fearful or we're both fearful and we're just going at each other, there's nothing is of value there to lose. What can you lose? So really this loss methodology of like, oh God, I can't do that. People often say that, but Mitra, I can't risk that. I say, but you're risking it every moment when you're keeping it in an unhealthy way. You're risking it. This is a much bigger risk than it is to examine it and say, let's look at it differently and see how it can go better.
Yeah, I think about one question that I ask myself when I'm faced with something I'm resisting letting go. When there's resistance, there's always a fear that something bad is going to happen, right? So the mind is thinking of the disadvantages of letting it go. But also asking myself the question, so simple, but can be really powerful. What are the benefits of getting hurt in a relationship? It's not all bad. If we really contemplate that, there are benefits to getting hurt in a relationship. We get to learn about ourselves. Hurt invariably gets us to a place where, well, oftentimes, not invariably, oftentimes it gives us the opportunity to reflect, to pause and to reflect, understand ourselves better, understand what we want better, what we don't want better, to also understand how we could respond differently in the future. So there are benefits to it, and there are other benefits that I'm not mentioning, and that's the answer to that question will likely be different for everybody, but it's a powerful question
Yes.
because our mind tends to see it from a one-sided view, and when we can see both sides, all of a sudden the charge kind of lowers a little bit.
Yes. I was eh, involved in a discussion that the person that didn't like what was going on, um, in a reactive way, left and decided not to come back, and everybody was rattled except me, and I was just thinking, what is the problem? Leaving is not always bad. It's okay. Let them leave. Everybody said, no, no, no. I said, why? What is this insistence in everybody staying when nothing is changing and nothing is working? Like, these are the fears that we carry, that it's bad if Mitra leaves. It's like, no, it's not necessarily bad. I mean, it depends. But in this particular situation, leaving the situation when everything was provoked and everybody was heightened in their reactivity, it was actually a great idea. But again, fear of loss. What if they don't come back? You know, that's fine too. Like, it's a different way of looking at life, which requires a completely different mindset. In fact, mind shouldn't be set. It should be very open in seeing different ways. So I talked about clarifying what it is that we want. And the second one is really clearing these old way of being, the habitual robotic way of being in life. And then so that we can create room for creativity. So it's clarifying, clearing, and then it's creating a new version of us if we decide to do so. And that's a huge if. That's why I keep emphasizing not everybody wants to or is ready to pay the price for the new version of them. And this actually might as well not even mention it, because when I say it and I don't achieve it, I feel like I've lost something and I've been, like, not successful in something. But if you say, Mitra, what is your new version in 2026? I said, I'm happy with the way I am for another year. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to get disappointed. I'm not going to think I'm not good enough or I can't do it. I just say, I call it a soul holiday. I'm on a holiday and I don't want to change. Quite happy with my dysfunctionality and leave me alone. No problem.
Mitra, let's take a common thing that you see that people say they want to introduce into their lives in the new year. What's one common thing that you hear people say?
The physical level usually is being more fit or eating better. At the mental level is being open-minded and letting new beliefs to be there so that they're not attached to their beliefs. And at the energetic level, it's, of course, elevation of soul, that I can vibrate at much higher frequency. And by the way, all these three are connected to each other, but people look at it from different perspective and say one of these things. These are the three things at three different levels.
So let's take physical fitness and health. So in order for someone to bring that into their life, what would you say the typical person has to be willing to let go of that you see that they generally are not willing to?
One is perfection. That these idealism about like, I will do this every day and I will never do that. Like, be practical. For instance, I actually recently, because of health reasons, am really decreasing my intake of carbohydrates. And I intentionally am calling it that. And everybody says, "Oh, are you avoiding carbohydrate?" I said, "No, I'm decreasing it." And they say, "Yeah, avoiding it." I say, "No, not avoiding it. I'm decreasing." You say, "What's the difference?" A huge difference. When I say decrease, my mind settles down. Okay. I can have your birthday cake. It's a special night and I want to see it looks really great and I want to have a piece that I can handle. But when I say absolutely not, and that's okay, sometimes we have to. I'm not saying that in extreme situations that we have to do that. We shouldn't. I'm talking about everyday, kind of challenges and decisions that we make. So I told myself that I'm going to decrease how much high carbohydrate I take. Very simple decision. And it's been amazingly effective. And I'm not harsh on myself. I'm not judgmental about it. I just say I'll do my best to eat less. So it's, as you called it, festive season. It was, we just passed it. There were a lot of gatherings, a lot of, events that I had to go to, and I was with family. So it wasn't my normal diet. And from what was on the table, I did my best and I'm very happy, actually happier than any other year than how I behaved as far as, eating healthy food is concerned. So letting go of perfection is my first point.
Perfection and absolute, something in
And
the absolutes. Like
absolutes and these,
I have to work out a certain amount of
yes,
times and it has to be on a fixed schedule.
yes.
And what's coming to me as well is you might not be totally clear in the beginning of the things that you need to let go of in order to truly allow, fitness and having being the level of health that you want to be a sustainable part of your life. So you can go through a discovery process and you can start the process and go to a few fitness classes. Just be aware. What am I resisting? What do I have to give up in order to do this more consistently? And you'll become you'll become more aware of those things, and at those points you have a choice. You have a choice to decide, okay, obviously going to the gym or to my fitness class or yoga requires time, and that would mean time I'm taking away from other things. And what am I willing to take time away from? What am I willing to let go of there in order to give time to the fitness and other things too? I like being lazy sometimes, you know? There's a comfort in being lazy and just relaxing and chilling. I recently, by the way, I recently decided to prioritize fitness in my life. So this is fitting for me as well. I took a long break from it. That was one of the things that I had to be willing to let go of. What else, Mitra? Anything else? Maybe anything nuanced that you perceive in people? Maybe on a mental level, maybe on a self-image level or energetic level. What are other resistances that people might not be aware that they have?
Hmm. Resistance usually comes when the decision is not theirs. They have borrowed it. I call it borrowed intentions. So you have told me that I should be, or somebody pressured me, the institutions that we live in, and we live in many of them, they have told us. I haven't decided that. I just think I have to. So I do it, but I do it with the resistance and I do it with a very difficult energy. So I'm working against myself. I'm paying the price, but I'm not taking the prize for this experience that I'm having, be it, as you called it, the fitness or working hard or whatever it is. I'm not doing it with pleasure. I'm doing it out of fear of you judging me or me not belonging to a group or not being accepted. And that is not a sustainable way of making changes and making decisions. So that's what I see one of the obstacles to be, that when I really explore the reason for what people that I'm working with are doing, it is a borrowed intention. It's not theirs. They thought if they do this, that will happen. So they're doing it. It's not like, Ben, I've really decided to take care of my, health. Or I really, as you said, I really want to get into fitness and get my body fit again. For me, I want to do it. I really do want to do it. That usually is when I, go in and look around, there is something that is not really fully theirs.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. And it's actually one of the reasons that I took a break from fitness for 2 years, because I realized what was driving me was this energy of should. I should be going to the gym. I should be fit. I had done that since I was a young teenager through my adult life, always going to the gym. I never really thought about it, and I didn't necessarily enjoy it. It was more of a thing that I just felt like I should do. And the rebellious part of me a couple years ago was like, no, I don't have to do anything, and I'm not going to do it just because I feel like I should do it. And recently, I met this fitness coach, and she was really pushing me about getting back into fitness. And she's like, "Ben, let's just do a one-on-one session. I have some questions for you." And she said, "If you were to get into fitness, what would be your goals, and what would you want?" What came to me is I want to rediscover my relationship with fitness. I don't currently have a relationship that feels inspiring to me right now, but I'm open to discovering a new relationship with fitness and seeing if I can find a relationship that feels good to me and inspires me, so that I'm going not because I should, not because I want to look a certain way, but because it feels good to me. And that really shifted things for me. And I started to go. I started to go to there are these conditioning classes. With this mindset shift and this curiosity that I had, I realized there's so much actually I love about it. I love being challenged. I do. In certain ways, I love being challenged, and I love being able to push myself to new levels and to achieve in that way. And I realized that that was nourishing to me, and I was getting feedback from my body as well as I was doing this stuff. I had more energy, my body felt good. So giving yourself permission to discover, to question what is driving your desire, but also to discover, is there a way for you to realize whatever that intention is that you have from a place of joy and from a place of real inspiration?
Yes, authenticity, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mitra, I think we covered quite a bit on this episode. Is there anything you'd like to leave our audience with?
Yes, I would like to invite our interview family and friends to really look into the opportunity of refreshing and renewing and revising what is not working for them and allow it to be theirs. This is not to impress anyone. This is not to satisfy anyone. It is about, do I want to be in a different way, especially in areas that are not serving me, and do it for you. Do it as a gift to yourself. And sometimes, to be honest with you, Ben, I keep it as my own sort of story. I don't share it with others. And that allows me to really keep its energy in me. And I know there is a philosophy exactly opposite that, that go and tell people and create witnesses to your success. I'm more of a private person. I'm thinking, if I do it and it helps me and serves me, that's fine. People can see that I'm a happier person. And I do it for myself, whatever serves you, but do it because it's something that you want to do, and know that in the beginning of the year, and there's a lot of different ways of looking at it, astrologically, numerologically, psychologically, this is a good time to start because many people around the world are starting something afresh and anew. So energetically, the life on planet is seeking newness. And this is a great time to capitalize on that energy and individually go with the collective desire to change and start afresh and anew.
I love that. I love what you just shared. It's fertile grounds. This is an idea. We can do it anytime, but this is an ideal time, a supportive time to start something new. We wish you all well on this journey of introducing newness into your life. And until next time, have a beautiful week, everyone.
Buckle up for 2026. We will need it.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.